Before we dive into this episode, I just want to let you know if you want to get access to episodes before anybody else, head on over to patreon.com/concerts that made us. And as a bonus, you'll get access to videos of some of the episodes and a host of other benefits. We've also teamed up with Band Builder Academy to offer you 10% off their membership. Details of both can be found in the show notes below.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts, concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hey, what's up? It's Garrith here from the Man Motels, and you're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Garrett, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. I just first of all want to say thanks a lot for reaching out and giving us the opportunity to talk to the people that's obviously listened to your podcast.
It's an absolute honor to have you guys. Now, I'm looking forward to letting the listeners get some insights into your music. Now, you guys released your EP Dead Nature on the 28th of July. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so that's actually the follow-up. So about a year ago, we released the EP called Intimate Enemy, and then we followed that up now. It was an interesting process. I say this because our bassist, Lyle, he actually went over to the UK. So he's there now at the moment, and he's coming back to us now on the 22nd of August. So we had to fill that gap. So we had all this music ready to go, but then he had an opportunity to go across to the UK for a year. And I mean, we couldn't really hold him back. So we needed to find a replacement. So we got a friend of ours, Divan, who stepped in for the year, and he did such a solid job. So we got down to work, and we managed to get that recorded. So we recorded the EP with this wizard of a of a tracking engineer. His name's Dean Bailey. He first of all charges us great rates, and he just understands what we're trying to do. So we can go in there. I mean, it's a 4-track EP, but we did it all in pretty much like a day and a half. So we work quite quickly, but it's because, I mean, it's punk, you know what I mean? All our tracks are less than 2.5 minutes. So it's easy listening, you know? And then what we do is that we actually came across, I'll try to cut a long story short, but we came across a band from France called Mad Foxes. I don't know if you've heard of them, but...
No, actually.
Yeah, you should check them out. They're super awesome. And, they're also a 3-piece like us, and the sound that they get, we were just like, wowzers. We need to try and figure out who's working with them, who's doing the mixing. So we did some research, and we found their mixing engineer, or the same gentleman does the recording, he does the mixing. I think he does the mastering too. His name's Christoph Hogemat. And then I reached out to him. I said, would you like to work with the South African band? And he's like, hell yeah, let's do it. So since the Intimate Enemy EP, we've decided to go with him because Christoph knows, all I said to him from the start was, all we want is our music to remain raw, but it has to be powerful. And he's like, that's all I need. I'm like, okay, well, that's easy. And he'll literally like take the songs and he mixes it once or twice and it's done. It's like he's an absolute artist when it comes to understanding what you as a band want. So, so Dead Nature, first of all, the whole concept is about, listen, I can speak about it now, but I had a pretty tough upbringing, like I'm sure many other hundreds and thousands of people have. But I've always kind of been ashamed of certain things. But like now, it's easier for me to discuss it, and I find like solace in writing music and being able to perform, because for me it's easier to express myself through music. But before, what I did to kind of like I'm going to say deal with like the pain and disappointments and, regrets and whatever I was carrying around on my shoulders, is that I created like this, what I called like a dead nature around me. So you kind of dud all your emotions out. And so if you imagine standing on like a flat surface, and there's probably like a radius of about 2.5 meters around you, like 360 degrees around you, that's just like dead. No emotions, nothing is allowed to come close to you. Nothing is allowed to kind of penetrate that like the psyche of yours or your emotional state of being. And that's how I kind of made it through my life. It sounds terrible, and it's that's how I dealt with it. I'm not saying that's how people should deal with it, but that's how I did it. And Dead Nature is pretty much all about trying to tap into that. So I feel that our music for 3-piece as well, we able to really generate a powerful sound, something that's hard hitting, got like big breakdowns, and you can hear the emotion coming through it. And I feel like if you're going to just write music that you think people are going to want to hear, you're kind of missing the point, because music is like a real art. And like, I need to tap into what it is that I was ashamed of in the past and stuff that hurt me in the past to really be able to deliver my message. And I think that's exactly what Dead Nature is all about. So I think we've managed to really capture the essence of that being, and we've put it on record.
Yeah, I know you say you can do it now, you can talk about it now, and you can tap into it now, but that must have been a very hard process at the beginning, was it?
Yeah, so somebody, funny enough, was speaking to me about it the other day. I was thinking, like, isn't it like really like tiring and draining to really get into that state of being and like put yourself out there? So I remember at the start that it was really difficult, because you do have to revisit a lot of like trauma and whatnot. But it seems like the minute you're able, the older you get, you start growing and you become stronger as an individual, and you're able to go back and you can see it for what it was. And it's hard for me to explain, but it doesn't hurt me as much as it did in the past. And I've come to a stage in my life where expressing myself and speaking about it has actually made me feel a lot better. So it doesn't hurt as much as it used to, but I still need to kind of channel that to bring out the rage on stage.
Yeah. I suppose the older you get, it kind of, you become more dull to it because you're after,
For sure. I mean, life is quite cynical as it is. I mean, the older you get, the less you really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. And the songwriting then, as a band, how do you guys approach it? Do one of you just bring a song and you work on it, or is it a more collaborative effort?
Yeah, so I've always believed that, for a project to really work, there needs to be like a consistent voice behind it. So I started this band, actually first started the Man Motels in 2011, and the band went until 2013. The bassist at the time, he actually relocated to Germany, and then the band just kind of fell apart. And then I did really, it was interesting, but terrible solo stuff. And then I decided, like, listen, I've got all this music. I need to restart the band. I started it in 2018, and then I brought in a new 2 members. So that's Lyle and Pierre. And we started writing. So me saying that it needs to be like a consistent voice, because it was my project, I had an idea, and like we already just discussed, the feelings that I carried around and everything that I've kind of had to go through, I've used that as inspiration for writing. So the writing process generally includes me writing like a core to the song, like a core sound or feeling or riff. And then I send it to our WhatsApp group, and then we have a quick discussion of whether or not we feel we can work on something like that. And then if it's a yes, then we obviously at the next rehearsal, we'll sit and we'll kind of go through the song and just dissect it and be like, okay, well, this of you would make like a really great bridge. This could be the ending, and then we build on it from there. But that being said, it might be my idea at the start, but the songs would never really truly be able to find their true worth if the other 2 guys didn't have their input, because Lyle is a machine on the bass. I mean, those driving bass riffs, and Pierre just like he slams those drums, and I need that. Like for me to be able to perform on stage, if I can't feel that kick drum and I can't feel it, like that ferociousness of the snare, and if I can't feel the energy of the bass next to me, I can't perform. And they totally get that, and the energy that they offer really allows me to really put out the best version of the music that I believe needs to be put out.
Yeah. And I have to ask, my listeners love hearing this now. I have to ask, what's your favorite and least favorite part of making new music?
I think like I've gotten a lot better at it. I'm quite like set in my ways as well. So if I have an idea and then, say the guys want to change things up, we often have many arguments. So I think the most difficult thing is to just like let go and to like understand that it's not maybe just your project, that this is a collaborative effort, and like the music is only really going to be its true self if we're all involved. So the best part for me is to have a finished product and actually go into the studio. So I love going into the studio. I love laying it down and actually like hearing that version of the song that's finally people are going to be able to sit at home and have a listen to. And obviously the worst part is probably like having disagreements about certain things that you might be super set in stone on. So that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it for me.
I get you. And as a band, what does this EP say about you guys?
Again, this is just from my side, in my opinion. I wish I had the other 2 guys with me now, but say where we situated in Cape Town, I think it'll be like this everywhere around the world. Is that within certain like music communities, there'll always be like a clique. There'll be something that is super popular, and if you're kind of not playing that specific kind of music, then it's not like you're shunned away, but you do actually find it quite difficult to get certain shows, because those same bands that are in the clique will be the bands that will kind of like throw the shows. So what I've seen, and something that really like bothers me, is that a lot of new bands that are just starting out are bands that feel like they have to make that kind of music in order to fit in. And you can, when you stand there and you watch them, you can see that it's not something that they really feel. And that's something that really bothers me. So this EP, I hope people will see like this is music that's real to us. And we're not going to try and conform and play a specific kind of music just to get into certain places. We've always remained true to ourselves. And I think like the hard slugging and like just like working away and staying, like I said, staying true to ourselves is now finally like really paid off. And now we've got like a great following. People are singing the music back to us. Like we have the mosh pits like happening out in front of us. It's absolute power. And I'm so incredibly thankful that we finally managed to get there after this long haul.
I really like that now. I like that you're not afraid to stick to your guns and be yourselves, that you won't conform to, you know, the what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the most important things for me, I've had this discussion with the band many times, is that, you know, while we out in the circuit and doing our thing, I feel like our main responsibility is to make sure that the scene continues. And, you know, if we aren't able to encourage another band or two or three bands to want to form, then we failed at our job. Like, I think it's super important to like stay true to yourself, do what it is that you enjoy, because you will be communicating to a certain kind of individual, and those people want to end up, you'll teach them that it's fine to play this kind of music, and it's fine to say what we're saying, and it's totally fine to just put yourself out there. And there's been like 3 or 4 bands that have literally messaged us over Instagram saying like, hey guys, check this out, this is like inspired by you. And that's something that really moves us.
That must be fairly mind-bending though, when you get to that stage, you know, because I imagine you constantly feel like, maybe not that you're the new band, but you're still maybe at that level personally. But then when you get messages from bands saying, we really look up to you, or you're inspiring us, geez, that must be the best compliment you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I still, I'll never ever really forget like that first, or that feeling that I had like the first time I actually heard people singing the lyrics back to me. And I remember my girlfriend, she still said to me after the show, that she said to me, this is what I've always told you, is that you need to be careful what you say, because people are actually listening, and like you actually have it. So you need to have a message. Like, I mean, it sounds as silly and whatnot. And, you know, once she said it to me, I kind of like tried to really sculpt what it is that I was saying, because then I knew that I had a voice and that I needed people to hear me, but also I needed to have a message that made them feel something. So when I heard people sing those lyrics back to me, it was the most incredible feeling. And it's still happening today, and it still gives me goosebumps. So it's amazing.
I could imagine. And at this stage, so we'll dive into some of your early influences. This is a tough one, but if you can you tell us your earliest musical memory?
Actually, I'll tell you, I mean, one of the, maybe not such a huge influence right now, but one of the bands that really changed my whole perception of, you know, what I actually truly enjoyed, and music that made me like kind of like open my mind, was Blink-182. So I was like listening to a lot of like heavier stuff back in the day, like Marilyn Manson and Korn and you know, a bunch of things. And then somebody showed me Blink, and I was like, what on earth is this? This is crazy. So I was like a huge Blink-182 fan. When they broke up, I was obviously super distraught. But I was in London. I'm trying to think what the year was. 2004, 2003, 2004. Yeah. And then that 2004, that was like, so Blink had disbanded, and Tom went on to doing like Angel in the Airwaves or whatever. And then Mark and Travis started Plus 44. And the day before my birthday, I saw Plus 44 was playing at the London Astoria. And I was like, I need to go. I don't care what I need to do to be there, but I'm going to be there. And I managed to get myself a ticket. Well, actually, my mother sent me money from South Africa to get myself a ticket. And I bought it, and I went by myself. I couldn't get anybody to go with me, but I went by myself to a place I'd never been. And I got to see Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker like performing, and I was just like super blown away. I couldn't believe it. And that is like the second show that they ever played after Blink disbanded. I think they did a secret show at Roxy's in like America or in Los Angeles or whatever, and then the second show as the band was actually at the Astoria, which I got to see live. So that is pretty incredible.
Oh man. And I actually I had the drummer from Angels and Airwaves on the show before.
No way.
Alon Rubin.
Yes.
He's a pretty cool
no
guy.
way.
Yeah, it was a cool chat. And that's a really nice segue now to concerts. From concerts you've attended then, what ones would you say have made you?
Okay, so actually, we've been fortunate to play a few, festivals and whatnot. But for me personally, again, like I don't have the other two guys with me, so I can't really get the inputs. But I think something that really made me that put that fire inside me, like to really carry on and push really hard to make sure that it happens, was there's a small festival actually in South Africa called Up the Creek. And they only have about 2,500 people, so they keep it quite small and tight knit. But it's one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And we just went to go and enjoy the festival. But I stood there and we were watching all these bands. It's a great festival. But there was a band called Retro Dizzy, and then they came on stage. And that was the first time that I saw them, and they just played this amazing music that I stood there and I was like, what on earth? If these guys can perform on this kind of stage, this is a sign. I need to push harder, because the music that we're making right now, that I'm busy writing, is music that too can be on the stage. So I think just from watching that performance, it really lit that fire in my belly that just made me push hard. And because of that specific concert, because of Up the Creek that specific year, we've been super fortunate to play in some of the biggest stages and some of the biggest festivals in and around South Africa.
Oh man. And for any listeners that haven't caught one of your shows, then what can they expect? Give us the full experience if you can.
Well, it's all about high energy. So we haven't really got any of these songs that, you'll have these filler tracks where you'll slow things down a bit, and then people will go to the bar and get themselves another drink or whatever. There's none of that. So we'll go hard hitting. It's about 45 minutes. We play about 12 tracks, and we'll just send it from the first song right through into the last song. We'll speak here and there, but it's all about keeping people in that zone. People must feel absolutely buggered and completely exhausted after a show. But from the word go, it's all about that electrifying sound, and that hard drumming and dangerous bass riffs, and not screaming, but that emotional outburst on the mic. You need to grab those people from the very first track until the last track. And from the first song right through to the last, there's normally a mosh pit that's happening in the front of us. Sometimes, depending if there's something that I need to say, I'll grab a bottle of sparkling wine and I actually end up spraying it over everybody, because that really gets the party started. And you bring that out normally you normally bring that out around about the fifth song or the sixth song. And you can, once you spray that over them, I'll say something like, nah, there's no freaking excuse not to party. And people are yeah, woo! And then, it depends on who's all there on the night, but sometimes there'll be some stage diving and whatnot. But it's all about, when you see us, we want to connect with you, and we want to take our electricity and put it in you so that we're able to resonate with one another. Because for us, especially with high energy music, the alternative punk that we play, if the crowd is not feeling it, we can't perform. There's no freaking way. So it's important that from the word go, we've got you and you're feeling it. Because if you're feeling it, we're feeling it, and we're going to have a great time together.
Man, that sounds like, geez, where do you get the energy from?
I went, it's funny. We played this one show not so long ago. And one of my friends, he came to me after, and he's like, how do you do that? How do you still rock out like that? Like you're still 20 years old. I'm like, I can't explain it. I'm still going. I just love it. There's just something that, I've still got that fire. I'm not that old. He acts as if we're like grandpas, but it's not that bad. Once the music's got you, it's got you forever.
And how do you work on your stage show then? Are your rehearsals as high energy, or do you keep that for the actual event?
Yeah, for sure. No, we'll be careful, because especially with the aggressive nature of the vocals, I do tend to try and not overdo it, but it's hard because when you're tapping into that rage, it's it just naturally comes out. And I also feel that if I'm not able to really push myself, I can't get the best out of my other two band members. But I do need to behave myself. But in terms of the energy in the room, we're professional about it. So we'll we'll talk about certain things. Like if there's something that didn't happen like the way it should in that specific song, we'll be like, okay, we're going to go back to that, but let's carry on pushing on. So we keep that energy there, because if we ourselves can't rehearse at a similar kind of intensity to the live show, then we're not doing ourselves any favor, you know. So we do send it, we head banging. It's as if it's a live show whilst we're recording. Not recording, rehearsing. We really just want to give it all so that we're able to give you it all.
I get you. And you know, out of all the gigs you've played now since you began, is there one that you revisit in your head as maybe the most perfect experience you've had?
That's a difficult question. Actually, I'm just trying to think here quickly. When we released our album. So I mean, it's, you know, you need to keep in mind that if you ever go and you visit that album, you need to like have an open mind, because we were still trying to find our sound at the time. But you can hear that there's something there, but we hadn't yet just found it. But when we released our that album called "Quit Looking at Me," we played at this venue called Bohemian. That place is absolutely packed. Like I'd never seen that place like that ever before. Again, like people were stage diving, like people were grabbing us while we were on the stage. It was absolute chaos, and it was so perfect. Like we had played the music, we couldn't have played it better on the evening. It was just such a momentous occasion. Like you felt that after that show, we could totally disband and be content, because it was just like the perfect evening. And then there's one other event. It might not have been the most amazing for a drummer. I think he had a bit of a tough time. But so we played this other big festival in South Africa called Park Acoustics. It's like a day fest, but it's one of the most amazing events that you can go to. And I remember standing there. There must have been about 2,000 people in front of us at the stage. But I remember playing like halfway through a song, and I stood there going like, yes, I'm not nervous. Why am I not nervous? I was just like in the moment, loving it. It was like the most. And I remember like looking over to the bassist, and he just gave me this look like he knew what I was thinking. Like it was so incredible to feel that, and to have that connection with the people, and see that's like this big sea of people just like jumping up and down. Like that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd say so. That must be kind of tough when you get an experience like that, and maybe the next ones don't live up to it then.
Yeah. Yes, that's hard to come. I mean, there'll be like, how can I say? We're able to talk about it now because again, we're getting older and we understand each other better. But like the drummer and myself, we've had many fallouts before. It's just how it is. I think it's just like erratic personalities, like trying to like understand one another. You know, it's better now. But we would often have arguments. Like you wouldn't really see it, but on stage would be like going at each other because either he thinks I'm playing too fast, or like I'm telling him he's playing too slow, and it gets a bit messy. But you know, we get through it. Right. And so anyway, so that's kind of getting back to what you're saying. So you'll come from this crazy big show where it's like packed to the max and everybody's got this great energy, but then we're all humans, you know, like we don't, although we're friends and we talk a lot, often is that humans are like that, is that if there is something bothering you, sometimes you have to keep it to yourself. Sometimes you're not comfortable with really sharing it, even with those that are the closest to you. So you don't always know what's happening in somebody's life. So I think we've gotten to a stage where if you're kind of like not performing at your best, and if there's something on your mind, then it's fine. We'll accept it. Like let's just get through the show, and maybe we can talk about it. If not, we can get to the next one and just make sure that's a banger. So we just have to carry on pushing on. And before we just have arguments or not arguments, but we'd give each other like dirty looks, like if somebody hits the wrong note during a track. But now, if somebody screws up, you just have to like run straight and tackle her. You know, just carry on moving forward because. Again, we're all humans. We will make mistakes, but as long as you're having a good time and you still got those people in the palm of your hands, like there's nothing that's going to stop you.
Yeah, true. And you know, to switch it around then, you know, without naming names now, but is there a gig that you would say was the worst experience? What happened and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, so I'll use that's I mean, it wasn't really for me, but say that Park Acoustic show that we were talking about, our drummer had a bit of he wasn't feeling well. And then what happened is that our whole performance got dragged on or it got delayed for about 35 minutes because it was pouring down with rain. And this water came gushing down on like PAs and all that kind of stuff. So it was just like chaos. And then he was in his zone, but he got pulled out of it. And then he started getting like, he was a bit anxious, and then he wanted to like get sick. So, I mean, if your timekeeper, being the drummer, like the one that's got like the loudest sound, and he's the one that you feeding off, if he's in that kind of state, like you go in there feeling very nervous. And I remember we got to a track where he just stopped through the track, like he stopped like halfway through the song. He's like, no, my snare is like completely screwed, this thing is broken, it's snapped. And we're like, what on earth? And like, so we had all these people like going, but now all of a sudden the show stops. And he's like, no, he needs to change it. So we're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? So Lyle is like just going there playing like a little funky bass, line. I'm just like, hey, you have to just try and control the moments. And I was just like, listen, everybody, technical difficulties, but I mean, it wouldn't be a show without it. Like, that kind of stuff, have a little chuckle with it. But we had to like try and get him to like feel it again and be like, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. They had another snare available. The snare came on stage, but it wasn't anything like this, like his own snare. So this might sound silly with me doing the sounds, but his snare will be like, da, 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 where the snare that they had, the standard snare comes in and it's like, ding, ding, ding.
Oh, man.
Yes, so it just like killed the whole, like the zone and like the feel and the power of the music. But hey, it's what we had, and we had to just get through to the end of it. So we did it. And then afterwards, it was fine. And I mean, shame. I mean, I feel sorry for him. Like that was terrible. I mean, all of us have had shit shows, but it's all part of the learning process. I think there's not one single band out there. I mean, even the bands that are touring like all year round, they're still going to have one or two shows undoubtedly that are going to be shit. It's just how it goes. We're not robots. You know what I mean? And you should never ever take that human side of the music out of it. That's why even in studio, we'll do certain things, especially from the vocal side, where instead of wanting to redo it, you'll be like, I like that human element of it. It's keep it real, So people are quick to judge, but sometimes there's no space for judgments,
Yeah, exactly. And your shows sound like an absolute wild time, but something the audience don't see is backstage. What goes on with you guys backstage? I'd imagine there's wild partying and stuff like that, or are you very sensible and like choir boys?
Well, so that's the thing. Like some backstages are really not as glamorous as a lot of people might think. So it might just be like a couple of chairs and a few bottles of still water. I mean, that's it. And you're like, damn, this is not very rock and roll at all. But I mean, a lot of the backstages are actually only just there for you to like kind of like gather your thoughts and just discuss things before you actually go on stage and do your thing. Where other times you'll go off stage and then there's blunts being pulled out and there's shots of tequila and there's whiskey and like then you just go for it. Then you're living the rock and roll dream, But yeah, I mean, it's always fun after the show, especially if the show has been great. To be honest, you're only really backstage for like such a short period of time because the people that are coming to our shows, they're the most important to us. So the minute we off stage, we go straight to them and we just want to mingle and we want to like drink with them and party with them and just like, be thankful for their attendance kind of thing. So we try and not spend as much time as possible backstage. We prefer obviously mingling with the people out in the crowd.
It's right. Nice segue again to the next question then. When it's time for showtime, your pre-show and post-show rituals, how do you psych yourself up and then how do you wind down?
So I remember like in the earlier, like right at the beginning of the band, like I was always like super hyped and I was always stressed and like freaked out. And the guys would be like, don't even come near us because I would just put them completely out of the zone, But I think it's a major thing was just because I cared so much and I really wanted everything to be perfect. And luckily, again, the longer we've been together and the longer I've been involved with music, the easier it's become for me to like rather than freak out, I actually enjoy it now. Like now I'm excited to actually just go on and just do like perform. So before the shows, we kind of it's an odd relationship that we have. We are mates, but we won't really like properly like hang out and do like crazy rituals and whatnot. We'll just like sit around together and we'll have a discussion and be like, oh, cool, this is how we're going to take it tonight and whatnot. And then maybe we'll kind of like give each other like a hug before or a high five, just like say like we've got each other's backs. Like let's just make sure that this is going to be a sick show. And then I normally try and throw something in there like, listen, if there's any issues on stage, remember it's always better to play quicker than what it is to play slower. That's kind of the advice I give the guys always. And then at the end, like if it is a shit show, it is a bit difficult to try to get the guys not feeling negative about things. But you just have to be adult about it. And, we are emotional people in general. I think anybody that plays this kind of music, there will definitely be elements of emotion. Like if you aren't the emotional person, you'll never be able to delve into the power that you need. So you just have to control those emotions. Be like, listen, it happened. Let's just work on it next time. But if it's a great show, then you want to keep on that high. You don't want to come down from that. You just want to go for it,
And, we've heard all about the shows now, but when you're not touring or playing gigs, how do you stay connected with your fans?
So yeah, just through social media, so just keeping in the loop, keeping active, letting guys know what's happening. Like just reminding everybody that there's new music that's out. So when last did you check out this video? A lot of our fans are also like very close friends in that, so we're always around them nonetheless. So we just try and keep busy via social media. We try not be like, the one thing that I try not to is post unnecessary garbage. Then you just trying to remain relevant. If you've got something cool to post, then post that, But most of the guys that come to our shows, we know them personally, so we're always hanging around with them nonetheless. So that's how we keep up to date with everybody. But we also try and keep active in terms of, it was a year ago that we put out Intimate Enemy, then it was now Dead Nature, and I've already started writing for the next EP. So we need to keep at it. And yeah, so although we should be sitting back and enjoying this EP, remember, but when this EP was launched on the 28th, we probably heard it for like a month before. So we were like, we over those songs. They seem like super old to us, but everybody's like, oh, that's so sick. But by the time, like, when you listen to it again, you're like, nah, I've heard that song way too many times now. So it's funny how it goes. So you have to start, you have to consistently think of what's coming next. How are you going to write the next one? What's the next video you're going to put out? Everything moves so quickly, and it's not that it's competition, but we want to continue getting amazing opportunities, and those opportunities will never come to us if we're not consistently working hard for them. So that's why we just have to carry on, like I say, run straight and tackle low.
Right. And as a band then, how do you guys keep yourselves motivated and inspired to keep going and creating great music?
I think, luckily, we've found 3 individuals that have that same kind of burning desire to be in a band that is active, and a band that is recognized, and a band that will get opportunities to play these big shows. Because I've been in bands where you've got 3 guys that feel like that, but the other 2, it's more like a hobby. When you're in that kind of scenario, you're never really going to have a purpose, and you're never really going to move in the right direction. So luckily for the 3 of us, we're constantly pushing each other. Like if I'm not throwing something like a new riff or whatnot, then one of the guys is saying like, we need to get a show over here. And somebody's like, have you seen this kind of event? So we constantly like chatting to make sure that we're reminding each other that we have to keep pushing on. There's no time to sit back and relax. We have to carry on working. So luckily we've got 3 people in the band that all kind of are at that same kind of level.
Right. And I'm sure it rarely happens now, but how do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your music?
Yeah, like we took it quite poorly the first time. So like I mentioned, Quit Looking At Me, that first album that we put together. So at that stage, we had this mindset, like we've got songs. We desperately need to get music out there, because you might be playing shows, but there's no physical or there's no music for people to listen to. Like there's no ways you're going to be able to grow your fan base or encourage people to come if they can't hear anything. So we kind of, I feel like we rushed that process. The music is still good. Like if you go listen to it, you can hear that there's something there, but we hadn't yet really found what we wanted to say. And I don't know, it's like a little guilty pleasure. I'll go listen to this stuff. I think that lo-fi sound that we had going there was super sick. But obviously we refined it now, and now we're a lot harder. We have like an identity which we able to like really mold in the direction that we wanted to go. But shit, now I forgot what you actually asked there. I went off on the tyrant.
How do you handle criticism?
Oh, the criticism. Yeah. So what I was trying to say was that with that album, because we kind of rushed it, we got quite a bad review, or not a bad review, but it wasn't very good. And I was just like, hell no, we're never going to go to that publication again. Like, whatever, that's the end of them. And we didn't submit anything to them for like 3 years, I think it was, that we're like, we're never going to chat to them again, whatever, because they're clearly irrational and don't understand what you're trying to do. But I mean, that's just their job. We were also like younger, and we were also trying to find ourselves, so we were also not in the right state of mind when reading it for the first time. So it took a long time for us to just get over that. But now we're over it. If by any chance people do criticize the music, then it's just not for them. I mean, you've totally got your say. I mean, if you want to have an opinion, that's great. Like, thank you for listening to the song, but you don't have to listen to it again. You know what I mean? So it doesn't hurt as much, because we know we've got people that do appreciate that, and those are the people that we're making the music for. So yeah, I mean, but funny enough, I'll tell you something about that same woman that criticized that first album. When we were releasing, so we released the music video for The Fever, which forms part of this EP, Dead Nature, and we dropped that music video, and obviously Mongrel Records would go around, and they'd submit these for reviews and whatnot. And when I saw the reviews start coming in for that music video, and I saw that same woman's name that gave us that bad review back in 2018, I was like, oh my God, I'm too scared to open this. Like, this is going to be terrible. But wow, that woman gave us like such a crazy review. Like, when I read it, I got goosebumps. Like, I felt that she, like, now it's like as if she knew that we've got our identity, and she could totally tap into what it is that I'm saying. And the music video made total sense with the message that we're trying to put through. It was so incredible. So all the reviews and all the feedback that we've gotten from the Dead Nature EP so far, including the video, have been nothing short of amazing. So if any of those people who did reviews, or any of those people from the publications, if they're listening to this, I just want to say thanks a lot. We really appreciate that.
It's great to hear that with her specifically, though, you came full circle,
Yeah. Yes. I think I held a grudge there. Like, I'm not even lying, for like 3 years. But you have to just like drop it, because the publication was also probably one of the biggest music publications in South Africa. So you can't like avoid it. But we were very like scared, but we knew that we had a great product. So the first EP back that we had obviously submitted was Intimate Enemy, our last EP, sorry, and they gave us like a raging review, and then ever since that we're like, okay, cool, let's just deal with it, let's roll with the punches as they come. But everything seems to be pretty decent for now.
That's good to hear. And this question now, it's a very big question, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So what's your thoughts on the future of punk music and its evolution?
Yo, that's a good question, because that's not really something that we'd really like. You're so consumed with what's happening now, and you're not thinking like so far into the future. You're thinking about like maybe like a 6 to 12 month kind of time frame. So you're looking that far ahead. But I think there were always, especially now, I think with how things are going, like there's a lot of angst, there's riots, like people are like bleak, with COVID and all that kind of stuff, the lockdowns. I think there's like, in general, people are have a little bit of more of that angsty kind of vibe. Like, people are pissed, like they're irritated. They don't enjoy this like control that governments are trying to like kind of sorry, this is not trying, I'm not trying to be political, but you understand what I'm saying. So yeah. For as long as there's any kind of like of that, like that angsty kind of feel, like if you've got something that really is underneath your skin, I think punk will be fine. Punk is just like, it's a great, for me, I've always understood punk as I mean, I knew punk as Blink-182, but that's like pop punk. That's a different little monster on its own. But now, like when you like, I'm trying to think, if you listen to bands like Idols or Proto-Martyr or even the Hives, like that's kind of like, these guys have messages, they go for it. Like, that's like angry stuff. Heavy Lungs is another one of my favorite bands. They're from the UK. Like, or from England, and that's those people harness that energy and that anger, and they're able to really like put it through their music, and that's something that resonates with me. And I'm just one of millions of people that'll be touched by that. So as long as there's any kind of angst and whatnot or disagreement towards the system, I think punk will be fine. And in terms of how it's going to revolutionize, I mean, even if it goes electronic, I reckon you can still have an electronic version of punk, like 100%. I'd actually love to delve in that maybe one day if I ever feel like my live performance days need to come to an end. Like I doubt it'll happen, but if it ever happens, like I'd love to sit in my room, get myself like a little chaos pad and like I don't know, just like muck about and just do something like totally obscure. So I'm excited to see how it's going to go, but I think for the time being, I think punk is like alive and well, and it will be for a long time.
Yeah. I have to ask, something just popped into my head there. How far back does your listening go when it comes to punk? Would you go as far back as like the Stooges and the Sex Pistols, or?
No, so that's the thing. Like, I only really started getting into music like quite late into. I think I was like about 13. I mean, of course, my parents were listening to like the golden oldies, and that kind of stuff. So that's the music that we're kind of associated with. And I think at that time I was like, not that like Starship and that kind of stuff. Like, we built this city. I mean, I guess like if I've had a few toots in me, I'll bring out those bangers. I don't care. But I mean, but back then, I mean, that's not really music that resonated with us as kids. But I only started listening to like Metallica and Twisted Sister and Korn and Manson and Silverchair and that kind of stuff when I was about 13, 14 years old, so I only really started getting into music from that side. So I didn't really delve into like the proper punk until much later, where I got introduced like, oh shit, it goes much deeper. I don't know, you've obviously seen the 7 Ages of Rock. Yo, that is some powerful stuff. And if anybody out there's never seen that BBC like documentary, it's 7 parts, I think. There's 7 Ages of Rock, obviously. But that's amazing. When they go through the whole like punk era, that's like incredible. Like that's proper. Like people just didn't care. Like they were gonna go for it. I think I don't know if you'd really classify them as punk, but like your Joy Division as well. Like those guys, I think, influenced hundreds and thousands of bands out there.
Oh yeah. I think they're more new wave though, are they, compared to punk? Yeah, but no, still a great band.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing. Like, do you think maybe over all these years, like just like the whole understanding of punk, do you think that's kind of, like you're talking about what does it mean in the future? I think maybe the understanding of punk, like there's so many different ways of understanding it and what it means. I think punk is maybe more like a mindset than what it is a sound.
You actually read my mind, because I was thinking to myself, back in the 70s and the 80s when punk really started, it was like this subculture and this certain type of music that was all about revolution and standing up against the man. Like, but I feel like over the years it kind of bled into every genre, and it could be even pop, or it could be, well, I suppose not classical, but as long as you've got a song that's kind of standing up against someone, there's elements of punk in it, I believe.
For sure. I mean, I think like even the Smiths, like Morrissey, that guy's punk, like 100%. Like people can say what they want about the Smiths, but those oaks as well, just like so good at what they do. And I mean, like it's classic. Everybody always talk about it, those upbeats, like indie jams, but just like the message that Morrissey was putting across is always like morbid, and just like he had something to say. Like he wasn't just going to be happy. Like he's going to tell you exactly how it is. And that for me, like that's that mindset of like punk rock,
Yeah, exactly. And back to your band then. Are there any specific goals or milestones that you hope to achieve?
Yeah, so I think we've really enjoyed having the opportunity to play a lot of incredible festivals around here in South Africa, and traveling a lot up to Gauteng. I mean, that's where most of the action happens, is up north. But now we feel like, I mean, there's 2 more festivals that I want to play in South Africa to feel content with what it is that we've done here. But there's only one venture after that, which is doing an international tour. So that is something that we really want to do. I mean, international I use as a very broad term, because like people always think like, what, you're going on tour? But it's probably like 14 shows over like 20 days kind of thing. Like, but it's hard work, and I mean, the experience must be like an experience of a lifetime. So it's hard for us to like really gauge on where we feel our music would do best, and where the reception would be the best. But right now we're leaning towards the UK. So we'd love to come across the UK for a short period of time during the course of next year, and then just take it from there. So that right now is the big thing that we're discussing. I mean, obviously it's going to cost a bit of money. We'll need to get sponsors involved and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of where we're leaning towards. So hopefully it'll happen. I mean, if you want it, I mean, I already mentioned we grafters. We've never once really felt like, we're taking steps backwards. We always carry on going forwards. And I think as long as we maintain that mindset, nothing will be impossible.
Yeah, exactly. What is that? Have you ever heard of that punk festival in England? I think it's in Blackpool. Is it Rebellion Fest or something?
Oh, no, I haven't. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out now. I know that the punk rock holiday is happening now. I think it's is it Slovenia or Croatia or one of these countries that's happening right now. And that festival looks friggin' incredible. So I know that's not really in the UK, but if we manage to come across that side and it's around about the same time, I mean, I'll reach out to the guys and see what we can do. But
yeah, you should. Because when you were speaking, that stuck into my head straight away. I think it's like a 4-day punk extravaganza in Blackpool, and yeah, you guys would fit right in.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so we'll definitely just have to reach out and drop messages and just try to find somebody who's interested in helping us like set things up. Because if you've got somebody who's on the ground that side, who has the connections, who can obviously just ask the question and do the pitch, it just makes life so much easier, But I mean, I'm not shying away from any of that. I think I've probably sat behind the PC and sent like whack emails to many, many places. But I mean, you need to ideally know the right person, because these guys are being bombarded with thousands of bands. So for you to really, it's literally a lack of the draw. Like, okay, I'm going to open this mail. Okay, well then you've got opportunity, because you're the one lucky person that the manager just decide to have a look at. So it's just grafting. I guess we're just going to have to carry on really working hard and just hoping that the hard work pays off. I've always felt that, with the amount of effort and the energy and the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into music, the music will reward you one day, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I always kind of say a personal mantra of mine is, if you work hard enough at something, it will eventually pay off, whether it's 5 months or 5 years, but something will come from it.
Yeah, 100%. And also, we've seen it, you've seen it, everybody's seen it. There have been artists that get opportunities like easy opportunities, like people that haven't really had to work that hard but get themselves onto the biggest stages. I mean, yes, talent is obviously great, so maybe that's something, but I just feel that maybe sometimes the people that get those easy opportunities are the ones that don't really truly appreciate the moment when it happens.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you've really had to like grovel and do the hard work and get bad reviews but pick yourself up and carry on going on, when those big opportunities come, damn, I mean, imagine how amazing that's going to feel.
Yeah, exactly. And we've heard about what you hope will happen. Future plans for the immediate future, I suppose. Is there anything set in stone? Any gigs you want to tell us about? Any, well, not new music, obviously, because you have the EP, but any gigs?
Okay, well, before I get there, actually, there will be a new music video that comes out in the next, I think it'll probably be about 2.5 months, 3 months. So there'll be a music video that comes out for Young Father. That track that's on the Dead Nature EP. And then in terms of shows, there is a big show that's coming up. Well, actually, we're playing 2 shows now. The end of August, we're playing with one of our friends' bands from Joburg, from Johannesburg, called The Beach Boys. That's right. DA, so Dab Beach Boys with the Z. They're also like a hardcore band. So we've got a nice show that's scheduled on the 31st. And then we play another like day festival with them called Holy Smokes Fest. That's on the 2nd of September. And then at the end of October, there's quite a big festival that happens up north. I'm not going to say anything yet because they're still yet to actually really make the announcement. But we've got something really special lined up for the end of October. So really looking forward to that.
Exciting times ahead. So And we'll dive into the last couple of questions. So I've 3 very random, very odd questions for you, but I'm looking forward to seeing your answers. So if you could see any performer from history in concert for one night only, who would it be?
I'd probably want to see Nirvana, 100%. I think the influence of Kurt Cobain, I mean, it resonates with so many hundreds and thousands of people. Like I wish I could just witness them. That trifecta of sound that those 3 got together, and the amount of influence that they had by just doing what it is that they loved. Like they were definitely a band that didn't give it like they couldn't care less about what you thought of what they were doing, because they were doing what meant something to them. So I think Nirvana would be an amazing band to watch live. And another band that's still going. I mean, it's not the original members and whatnot, but the Pixies, they were here in South Africa not so long ago, but I couldn't get tickets. They were all sold out. But my girlfriend went because her cousin. So it was so evil. So the whole of that month before they came down, we were listening to Pixies every single night. We were singing along with Pixies. We were watching Pixies music videos. We were watching live shows. And then she went with the cousin to the show, and I had to sit at home twiddling my thumbs. It was like the most evil thing to ever happen to me. So that's still a band that I'm itching. Yeah, I was bleak. Yeah, I was so pissed. But so those are the 2 bands that are probably like my biggest biggest influences on me and my style of writing. So to see them live would be like, whew, killer.
Yeah, that's 2 very good ones. I'd cut off my right arm to see Nirvana. I have actually seen the Pixies. They were supporting the Chili Peppers at my very first concert back in 2004.
No
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And they're playing 3 nights in Dublin this year, but tickets were like absolute gold dust.
But are you going to go?
I didn't manage to get a ticket, unfortunately. They literally got snapped up as quick as you could. I don't know.
Hey, you never know. Maybe you'll be lucky. You just have to keep your eyes peeled. You always got these guys trying to sell tickets for like triple the price closer to the event date.
Yeah, exactly. Although I'm sure it'll be back around. They played last year as well in Ireland, which was strange then that they're playing so soon after. So maybe next year it'll be back around.
Yeah. How was the support in Ireland for the Pixies?
Oh, they're loved over here. People absolutely love them. Yeah, as soon as they announce a date, like you just can't get tickets.
Yes, that's amazing. Eh? Shit, that show must be incredible. I got to see The Cure. They came down to South Africa not so long ago either. I mean, as well, and to see Robert Smith like just standing on the stage, like that aura of his was like so captivating. And I remember we were in Golden Circle, and it didn't feel full at the time. I mean, there was a lot of people, but it didn't feel full. But he just like, as soon as he strummed that first note, like everybody just like pushes forward, and I found myself like levitating off the ground. My feet were not on the ground, and I was just like swaying from side to side with the crowd. And it was like the air was so thick, it felt like you couldn't breathe, and it was so hot and it was smoky. It was so beautiful. So to watch them live as well was absolutely incredible experience.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see them myself now. They'd be a very good one. And the next one now, here's where the odd part comes in. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Shit. Yes, yeah. I don't even know how to answer this question. Yeah, I don't want to just say like Kurt Cobain, because I appreciate him as a musician, but I don't know if we'd really get on. I mean, I don't know, like, but
it'd be tough. I'd say.
This question completely threw me out. I think. Let me just think here. Shit, there. I'm actually lost for words right now. I think, just because of he was probably like the main reason why I picked up the guitar was, I mean, people are gonna be like, that's weak, but it's not weak. It's just somebody who made a big difference to me. I would actually say Mark Hoppus from Blink-182. I think what that specific band did for me as an individual and as a human, like they bridged the gap. They made me believe that I wanted to pick up guitar. When I was listening to all those older bands, the heavier stuff, and I was like super morbid and whatnot, they didn't really inspire me. I was just listening to them because like friends were saying, listen to them. But the minute Blink came into my life, like everything just kind of made sense. And Mark's personality and just like his stage presence and his misdemeanor was something that kind of resonated with me. So, and I know that he went through I still follow the band and I still follow them individually and all that kind of stuff. And it's great to see the original three back together. And Mark recently got diagnosed with cancer, but I don't know if you've followed that at all, but
no,
he had
actually.
cancer and he's managed. Yeah, so he's actually come out of it. So thankfully, his chemo and his therapy worked, and now they're out doing world tours again. So I could imagine how difficult it must have been, and that's the reason why the three of them are back together, because I think Tom most likely got a shock of his life. I mean, whether they fight or they don't, they've shared so many amazing memories together, and they'll always be friends. So when it gets to a stage where you're so close to losing somebody so important to you, I think that kind of got them together again. So I'd love to sit with him and just tell him thank you for inspiring me, and thank you for without you even knowing, like the amount of work that you've done for me as an individual is invaluable.
Yeah, that'd be the perfect one. So, and the hardest question for last. So,
if there's one more difficult than this first one, this previous question, I don't know. I think it took me about 20 minutes to try and think of somebody.
Right, I hope you have about 2 hours to spare, so because I've been told this one is the hardest one of all.
Oh no!
If there was a song to appear on the soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
Actually, there's a song that I think I don't think it's underrated, but I don't think it's a song that gets as much credit as it should. And it's something that's, I don't know why, but that song just like really speaks to me, and just that specific song like moves me in a way that makes me feel like it like understands me, just like the rhythmic part of it and how everything comes together. So it's a song from the Pixies, but the song is La La Love You. I think that song is probably the most beautiful song you've ever heard in your life, and if that song could be the soundtrack of my life, that would be freaking incredible. So I don't know when last you listened to that track, but that song is that's like a masterpiece. And it's also not it's not even Frank Black that's singing. It's actually David Lamring, the drummer. He's the one that's doing the vocals in the track. And I don't understand why he hasn't done more vocals in any of the tracks, because that guy's got an amazing voice.
Weird, strange. I can't think of that song. I know I've probably heard it, but I'll have to listen to it after this now and refresh it.
Yeah, go give it a spin. I mean, it's such it's like I say, it's a masterpiece. I'm not going to do it justice trying to explain why it's so amazing. You need to just go listen to it for yourself.
Right. Listen, Garrett, it's been an absolute blast now. I've really enjoyed chatting with you for the last hour.
Yeah, man, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the time. And again, thanks a lot for taking the time out to chat to bands on the other side of the world. I mean, we really appreciate it. And I hope that, from this conversation, people go and listen to the music and understand what it is that we're trying to put across. And again, thanks to everybody that's listening. And thanks to this amazing podcast that you're running. And I hope that you manage to get tickets to the Pixies.
I don't want
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.